What's up, everybody? TI Trading was here coming at you guys with another video. So I know a lot of times earlier this year, I was talking about with y'all the 8:30 a.m. Candle being something that we like to go back into. Is another time that I'm aware of that also we tend to trade back into a lot of times, which is going to be the 12 a.m. candle as well, Eastern Standard Time. And so I wanted to flip to my screen here. Well, hold on. Let's go back to here and do this. And then let's flip to my screen. Okay. So here is another free script I will be dropping in the Discord channel, which is just trading whiz highlight zones. And so I have it set to highlight the 8 a.m. candle right now and the 8:30 candle. So the 8:30 candle is in teal and it just marks the high and the low of it and the 50% fib of it, just so I can kind of see a range of it right now. But I wanted to kind of show people what I mean by intraday. We might trade back into that midnight candle. This would be kind of a perfect example of that, right? We get a lot of chop on Tuesday going into the 8:30 candle, but that pull down was literally at the almost the middle way mark of that 12 a.m. candle, right? You can see this again right here as well on Wednesday, right? So right here, right before the 8:30 candle, and then push out of it. But this tends to be a zone that plays out quite often, actually, and seems to be kind of a magnet as well. A lot of times, for example, if we are, how do I explain this? Let's put VWAP on here, and I think this will give people a better idea of how there is like a how I would look to trade this on a day that would be, say we're going away from it, right? And then we're going back to it. A lot of times when I'm trying to make a target above VWAP, right? A lot of times I'm using this 12 a.m. candle as that target. So not just using it as a place of like, oh, maybe we'll wick it and like shoot back, but after we've kind of gone down during the morning and we're starting to make a pump back up and we're breaking through VWAP to the upside, right? A lot of times I am targeting that 12 a.m. candle as one of my targets. The other target typically is the overnight high as well, as one of my targets. But I like the 12 a.m. just because a lot of times we do wick off of it, right? And I don't want to be too greedy. A perfect example of that, it's this day right here, right? Where you can see, well, this is during London session, but you get the idea of this 12 a.m. area kind of being this area of support and resistance, right? And so it's easy to make targets off of this zone here, especially if we got the break back above VWAP here and we're pushing up and we want to take that trade. And so this happens over and over and over again. And you can also see the same thing with the 8:30 candle, right? 8:30 a.m. Open. You can kind of see us start to push up. We reject off VWAP. We come down into that 8:30 candle range before coming back up for the rest of the day. These two areas are consistently high areas of possible support and possible resistance. Not every single day it's going to look pretty. You can tell this 8:30 a.m. candle was news, and you can just see, that doesn't help you at all, right? And not all. Sometimes we will, find some type of support on it, like we did here, right? But continue going through it. So just kind of things to keep in mind. But a lot of times, when we are below or above this and I'm in a trade toward that direction, I'm using these levels as confirmation of either taking an entry or as a target. For example, like I'm at 8:30 a.m. We're trending up here, right? This is would be like a confirmation of an entry zone for me, right? My target, if we start to close above the VWAP here, my target's going to be this. And you can see literally off open, you can see that we targeted the top of this zone, right? And the bottom of this zone multiple times. And so that's what I mean. I would play zone to zone or play off the VWAP to those zones. So just something to keep in mind, right? I mean, again, 12 a.m., you can kind of see how we form support there, right? 12 a.m., you can see that we wick into it at 6:50 a.m., right? So if you are trading London session as well, the 12 a.m. zone is definitely something that I've seen repeated. What time is this? This is 11:05 a.m. Look at that, right? So this is a perfect example of why I would be targeting the 12 a.m. zone instead of the overnight high, right? Look at this. 12 we get up above VWAP, you take a long, right? Let's just say, right? And you want to target this zone, right? Boom, we barely wicked into it, you would have got that trade. Versus if you would have tried the overnight high, which would have been right here, right? You would have missed out. Like that would have been it. So this is a perfect example of like why this 12 a.m. area is so important to kind of have marked out, right? We can go through it, but a lot of times I use this as my profit target, right? You can see right there, boom. That was during the London session though. But two areas that I have definitely started to take note of a lot more recently, and just areas that of support and resistance that I'm looking at for a potential trade or a potential take profit zone. So cannot stress that enough. Just because we are touching in these zones does not mean you need to take a trade, right? You need other confirmations, you need other confluences, right? But what I can say is a lot of times, like once we start to curve, say around 8 a.m., right, and we're no longer in, say, a London downtrend anymore, right, and we're kind of forming potentially another wave up, it is important, I think, to look at this 8:30 a.m. candle, right? And then also once we get above VWAP, if you are to taking a long position, again, like you can see right here, know that this zone here is a potential area of resistance, and you can see all that resistance right here before we break out right here, right? So this is why these are targets for me a lot of times. So that's kind of just something that I really haven't talked about much of how to identify targets. And so, I think that hopefully that should help some people, as you're in a trade, maybe don't look at that overnight high as being your target area. Maybe look at that 12 a.m. candle as being your potential target.